Rain pounded the streets of Seoul like 1,000 desperate footsteps. Adaeze ran barefoot through the narrow alley, her breath sharp and uneven, her hands trembling as she clutched a broken phone. Neon signs flashed above her. Bar Hana, Soju Lounge, Hotel Eden, all blurring together as she pushed forward. Behind her a man's voice echoed, angry and familiar. "Adaeze, stop running from me." She didn't stop. Couldn't. Not tonight. Her heart slammed against her ribs as she turned a corner and slipped on the wet pavement. The cold bit into her skin, but she forced herself up, wiping tears that mixed with the rain. She looked back and saw him. Taeho, tall, expensive suit, eyes full of fury. "You can't hide from me," he shouted again. "You think anyone in this city will protect you?" Adaeze's chest heaved. "I'm done with you, Taeho. Just leave me alone." He laughed, that cruel, mocking laugh that used to sound charming when he was still gentle. But those days were gone. She remembered his hand around her throat last week, the smashed mirror, his voice whispering, "No one else will ever want you." So she ran. The city was alive but uncaring. Cars rushed past. People didn't even glance her way. Her heart screamed louder than the thunder. She ducked into a narrow side street, dim, quiet, the air heavy with cigarette smoke. And then she saw him. A tall man stood under a flickering streetlight, black coat soaked by rain, cigarette glowing faintly between his fingers. He wasn't like the others. No umbrella, no rush, just stillness, confidence. His gaze met hers for a fleeting second and she froze. There was something cold yet calm in his eyes, like someone who'd seen too much of the world and decided nothing could surprise him anymore. Footsteps echoed behind her. Taeho's voice, closer now. "Adaeze!" Panic flooded her veins. She looked at the stranger again. He tilted his head slightly, curious, and before she could think twice, she ran to him. He straightened instinctively as she grabbed his coat. "Miss?" "Please," she whispered, voice breaking. "Kiss me. Just once. Please." His brow furrowed, but then his gaze shifted behind her, saw Taeho approaching. Without another word, he dropped the cigarette, cupped her face, and kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was steady. Bold. The kind of kiss that silenced the storm. For a heartbeat, Adaeze forgot the fear. The rain. Even Taeho. When she finally pulled away, Taeho had stopped dead a few feet away, shock painted across his face. "Who the hell are you?" Taeho growled. The stranger's voice was low, controlled. "Someone you don't want to know." Taeho sneered. "She's mine. Step aside." The man didn't move. His stare hardened. Dangerous. Say that again. The tension in the air could cut glass. Taeho's jaw flexed. His confidence faltered under the stranger's calm stare. Something about this man screamed power. Not loud power, but the kind that makes the air feel heavier. Taeho cursed under his breath, pointed at Adaeze and spat. "You'll regret this." Then he turned and stormed off into the rain. Adaeze exhaled shakily, realizing she'd been holding her breath. She turned to the stranger, still trembling. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." "You did," he said simply, eyes unreadable. Then, softer. "But it's fine. You're safe now." He reached into his coat, pulled out a black handkerchief, and handed it to her. She hesitated before taking it. "Thank you," she murmured. He nodded once. "Come on, I'll walk you somewhere dry." As they walked down the quiet street, Adaeze glanced sideways at him. His movements were smooth, precise, like someone trained to stay in control. Even the way he looked around, scanning corners, felt deliberate. "You didn't have to do that," she said quietly. "Kiss me, I mean." "I know." His tone was flat. "But it worked." "What's your name?" "Jinwoo," he replied. "And you?" "Adaeze." He gave a small nod. "Pretty name." They reached a sleek black car parked at the end of the street. The driver immediately stepped out and opened the door. Adaeze blinked, confused. "You have a driver?" Something like that. Jinwoo gestured for her to get in. You shouldn't walk home alone tonight. I can manage. You can't, he interrupted, tone calm but final. That man isn't finished with you. Get in. She hesitated, torn between fear and exhaustion. Then she slid into the back seat. Jinwoo followed, giving a quick nod to the driver. The car moved silently through the wet streets. Adaeze pressed her palms together, still shivering. Thank you, Jinwoo. You didn't have to help me. I didn't, he said, staring out the window. But you looked like you needed it. Silence settled for a moment. The city lights reflected in his eyes, sharp and distant. She studied him. Expensive watch, clean nails, no expression. The kind of man who didn't flinch under chaos. Something about him both comforted and terrified her. Then quietly, she said, You don't talk much. He looked at her. Talking gets people in trouble. Adaeze gave a small laugh, the first genuine one in weeks. You sound like someone who's been in trouble a lot. His lips twitched, almost a smile. Maybe. The car slowed near the riverfront. He glanced at her. You have somewhere safe to stay? She shook her head. No, I left everything behind. He tapped the seat once, signaling the driver. Take us to the apartment. Adaeze blinked. Wait, what apartment? Mine, Jinwoo said simply. Just for tonight. You need rest. I'll have someone bring your things tomorrow. She froze. You don't even know me. I don't need to, he said, his tone steady. If that man finds you again, he'll hurt you. You need to stay hidden for a while. The conviction in his voice silenced her protests. Outside, the rain thickened. Adaeze leaned against the seat, staring out at the city she no longer recognized. A strange calm crept over her, the kind that comes when the storm is still close but you've found a quiet place to breathe. She glanced at Jinwoo again. He sat perfectly still, eyes fixed on the road ahead, face unreadable, but for a fleeting second, she thought she saw something behind that calm. Pain. Or maybe loneliness. The car stopped in front of a tall glass building. Jinwoo stepped out first, motioning for her to follow. His driver bowed slightly as they entered. The lobby was silent, spotless. As the elevator doors closed, Adaeze felt her chest tighten. Who exactly had she kissed tonight? When the elevator dinged and opened into a lavish apartment, she whispered, You live here? For now, he replied. You can take the guest room. Rest. We'll talk in the morning. Wait, she said softly. Why are you helping me? He paused by the doorway, his back to her. Then, without turning, he said quietly, Because once, someone helped me too. The door closed behind him. Adaeze stood alone in the quiet apartment, heart still racing. She didn't know it yet. But the man who'd just saved her wasn't her guardian angel. He was the devil the city feared most, and she had kissed him. Morning came softly through floor-to-ceiling windows, washing the apartment in pale gold. Adaeze stirred on a velvet couch, confused by the silence. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. Then everything rushed back. The rain, the kiss, Jinwoo. She sat up quickly. The apartment looked like something out of a drama set. Minimalist, expensive, lifeless. A tray sat on the table, tea, fruit, and a note in clean handwriting. Eat, rest, don't open the door for anyone. She smiled a little, commanding, even on paper. Adaeze stood, wrapped the blanket around herself, and walked toward the window. Seoul glittered below, rivers of cars, the hum of life that had forgotten her. She touched the glass. Where am I really? She whispered. A faint sound made her turn. Two men in black suits stood outside the door, speaking quietly in Korean. One said, Boss said she doesn't leave. The other replied, Understood. Her stomach tightened. Boss? The door clicked open and Jinwoo walked in, perfectly composed. No coat this time, just a dark shirt rolled at the sleeves. He looked younger in the light, but there was nothing soft about his eyes. "You're awake," he said. "I didn't know whether to run or say thank you again." "Running wouldn't be smart," he said, pouring tea. "You have enemies now." She frowned. "I already did. His name is Taiho." Jinwoo's expression didn't change. "Not anymore. When he realized who I am, he made himself a bigger problem." Adaeze tilted her head. "Who are you exactly?" He met her gaze. "Someone you shouldn't have kissed." Her breath caught. He said it so casually it almost sounded like a joke, but the silence that followed told her it wasn't. "Last night you said I was safe with you." "You are," he said, "but safety has its price." He turned toward the window, voice lower now. "Taiho's tied to people who want control of the city. They'll come for him and for you. I can keep you off their radar." Adaeze crossed her arms. "And why would you care?" For a moment he didn't answer. Then, "Because I saw the way he looked at you. That kind of man never stops. He needs to be stopped." The way he said it, cold, final, made her believe he'd done this before. She swallowed hard. "You talk like killing someone is just paperwork." He turned back, eyes unreadable. "In my world, it sometimes is." A beat of silence. She took a step back. "What world is that?" He didn't reply. Instead, he nodded toward the food. "Eat. You'll need energy." When he left, she sat staring at the door. The word, boss, the guards, the car, his tone, it all started connecting in her head. She whispered, "What have I gotten myself into?" Hours later, boredom mixed with curiosity pulled her to explore. She found a small study lined with books and an old photograph of a younger Jinwoo with an older man in a suit. A dragon emblem gleamed on the man's ring, the same emblem Jinwoo wore. Her fingers traced the photo frame. Mafia, she thought, remembering the rumors she'd heard at the club about Seoul's underground families. Han's syndicate. Ruthless. Untouchable. The elevator chimed. She hid the photo quickly and peeked toward the living room. Jinwoo was back, phone pressed to his ear. "I said no witnesses," he said in Korean, his tone sharp now. "If they find out she's here, it's on you." The line went dead. Adaeze's pulse hammered. She accidentally brushed against the doorframe, making a soft sound. Jinwoo turned immediately. "How long have you been there?" "Long enough," she said quietly. "You're not just some businessman, are you?" He exhaled slowly, putting the phone away. "I didn't want to scare you." "Too late for that." He approached her, steady, deliberate. "I won't hurt you. But you need to understand something, Adaeze. People like me don't get to be good. We just try to be less bad." Her throat tightened. "You run the Han Syndicate." His silence confirmed it. She backed up a little. "You're the reason people disappear in this city." His jaw clenched. "I'm also the reason they survive." For a moment, neither spoke. The hum of the city below filled the distance between them. Finally, she whispered, "If I'd known who you were, I would have never kissed you." A faint smile tugged at his lips. "Then it's a good thing you didn't know." Her anger cracked under the weight of exhaustion. She turned away, blinking fast. "I can't stay here." "You can," he said. "You should. Taiho's joined hands with my enemies now. They'll use you to get to me." Her eyes snapped back to his. "Why would they think I matter to you?" He hesitated, then said quietly, "Because you kissed me in the street and they saw." Her breath hitched. "They saw?" He nodded. "Cameras, my men, they're men. Someone always watches. That moment made you my problem, Adaeze. And in my world, problems have to be protected or erased." The last word hung heavy. She swallowed. "Protected, I hope. For now." He walked past her toward the kitchen. "Stay here tonight. I'll take care of the rest." "Take care how?" she pressed. He poured himself a drink. "You don't want the details." She shook her head. "I don't even know you, Jinwoo. You could be worse than him. He looked at her then, eyes softer for the first time. If I were worse than him, you wouldn't be alive to argue with me. The truth in his voice left her speechless. Later that night, as thunder rolled again, Adaeze stood by the window watching lightning dance over the Han River. Her reflection in the glass looked like a ghost, lost, foreign, trapped. She wondered what her mother would say if she knew her daughter had sought refuge in the arms of a mafia heir. A knock sounded behind her. Jinwoo stepped in, coat draped over one arm. You should sleep. We leave early. Leave? Where? A safer place. She frowned. Why help me at all? He met her gaze. Because once, someone asked me for help, and I said no. I've regretted it ever since. There was something broken in his tone that silenced her questions. He turned to leave, then paused at the doorway. If you hear anything tonight, footsteps, noise, don't open the door. Not even for me, understand? She nodded slowly. Good. When he left, Adaeze lay on the couch, eyes open, heart uneasy. Somewhere deep down she knew this wasn't over. She hadn't escaped danger. She had simply stepped into a darker one that wore a calmer face. Outside, unseen from the apartment, a car sat across the street. Taiho's silhouette leaned forward between cigarette smoke and rain. She's with him, one of the men in the car said. Taiho's voice was cold. Then we'll take them both. The lighter clicked. The flame reflected in his eyes, wild, vindictive. Inside, Adaeze shivered, unaware that the kiss which saved her had already painted a target on her back. The next morning, Adaeze woke to the sound of glass breaking. Her heart jumped. She sat up fast, scanning the room. Another crash followed, closer this time. Jinwoo's voice cut through the chaos. Down! He burst into the living room, gun drawn, his usually calm face now fierce. Before she could react, he grabbed her wrist and pulled her behind the couch just as bullets shattered the windows. Stay low, he hissed. Her pulse raced as shards rained over them. Outside, men shouted in Korean. Tires screeched. What's happening? She whispered, trembling. He reloaded swiftly. They found us. Who? Taiho. His jaw tightened. And the people backing him. Before she could ask more, he fired 2 shots through the shattered glass. A scream followed, then silence. He looked over the couch, gun still raised. The guards outside had already returned fire. Smoke drifted in. The air smelled of metal and fear. Jinwoo lowered his weapon. We have to go, now. He helped her up. She could barely keep balance as he pulled her toward a hidden elevator behind a panel in the wall. How did they find us? She gasped. Someone talked, he said curtly. The elevator doors closed. Adaeze leaned against the wall, breathing hard. This isn't protection. This is war. Jinwoo didn't deny it. You wanted the truth? This is it. The elevator opened to a private garage. A black car waited, engine running. Jinwoo pushed open the door for her. Get in. As they sped through the quiet morning streets, Adaeze clutched her seatbelt. You killed someone back there. I saved us. She turned to him. You talk like there's no difference. He didn't look at her. In my world, there isn't. They drove in silence until they reached the outskirts of Seoul. Hills replaced buildings, mist curling around the trees. The car turned onto a narrow dirt road and stopped before a traditional house surrounded by bamboo. This is my safe house, he said. It doesn't look safe. It's not meant to. That's why it works. Inside, the place felt strangely peaceful. Paper walls, wooden floors, the faint smell of cedar. Adaeze followed him in, still shaken. He poured 2 cups of tea. You should rest. You've been through too much. She took the cup but didn't drink. I can't rest when people are shooting at us. He sighed. You shouldn't have been there last night. You shouldn't have kissed me. She set the cup down hard. You think I planned any of this? No, he said quietly. But now it's our reality. Adaeze turned away, fighting tears. I left Nigeria for peace, for freedom, and now I'm hiding in a mafia house. His eyes softened. You left Nigeria? Yes. My ex followed me here. He promised he'd change. He lied. Jinwoo nodded slowly. You're stronger than you think. She looked up, meeting his eyes. You don't even know me. He hesitated, then said, I know pain when I see it. The honesty in his voice disarmed her. For a moment, the silence between them wasn't heavy. It was human. Then his phone buzzed. He answered in Korean, his tone hard again. What? How many? Make sure he doesn't breathe again. He ended the call and slipped the phone away. Problem? She asked. He looked at her for a moment, then said, Taeho won't stop. He's meeting someone tonight, someone who hates me more than he loves money. Who? Park Min-jae, my father's former right hand. Your father? Jinwoo nodded. He built the syndicate. Min-jae tried to destroy it after he died. I stopped him. Now he wants payback. Adaeze exhaled slowly. And I'm caught in the middle. I'll handle it. How? With more blood? He didn't answer. He simply looked out the window, jaw clenched. Later that evening, Adaeze stood outside, the bamboo rustling softly around her. For the first time, she wondered if Jinwoo's calm wasn't strength but loneliness. He joined her a few minutes later. You should stay inside. I can't breathe in there, she said. Feels like the walls are closing in. He handed her a small phone. If anything happens, anything, press this. It'll alert my men. She nodded. And you? I'll be at the meeting. You're walking into a trap, she said. I've lived in traps all my life. She caught his arm before he turned. Jinwoo, come back alive. He gave a small smile. You sound like someone who cares. She looked away. Don't get used to it. He left without another word. Hours passed. The house grew quiet. Adaeze sat by the window, staring into the darkness. Her phone stayed on the table, glowing faintly. Somewhere far away, the sound of gunfire echoed faintly in the hills. Her heart dropped. She grabbed the phone, debating whether to press the alert. Her hands shook. Then headlights appeared in the distance. The door slid open moments later. Jinwoo stumbled in, blood on his sleeve, breathing hard. Are you hurt? She cried, rushing to him. Just a graze. Who did this? He sank into a chair. Min-jae's men. They were waiting. Taeho was there too. Taeho? He's worse than before. He's not chasing love anymore. He's chasing revenge. Adaeze clenched her fists. He won't stop until one of you is dead. I know, Jinwoo said. That's why I have to end it first. She stepped back, fear flashing in her eyes. You're talking about killing him. He looked up. I'm talking about surviving him. A heavy silence followed. Finally, Adaeze whispered, and when this is all over, what happens to me? Jinwoo's gaze softened. When it's over, you'll go wherever you want. Free. No more running. She wanted to believe him, but deep down she knew. Freedom and men like him didn't belong in the same sentence. Still, when he reached for her hand, she didn't pull away. That night, sleep wouldn't come. She kept replaying his words, the gunfire, the fear in his eyes he tried so hard to hide. And outside, hidden among the trees, Taeho watched the light in the window. His lips curved into a cruel smile. She's still with him, he murmured. Perfect. He turned to his men. Tomorrow night we end this. Both of them. The next night, the air around the safe house felt heavier, like the sky itself was holding its breath. Jinwoo stood by the window, buttoning his black coat. Every move was precise, practiced. The faint scar on his arm from the night before peeked through his rolled sleeve, a quiet reminder of how close death had come. Adaeze sat by the table, silent, watching him. She hadn't spoken much since his return. He noticed. You're thinking too loudly, he said without turning. She looked up. You make it sound easy to stop. It isn't. But thinking too much gets people killed. That your secret to survival? She asked bitterly. He finally met her gaze. No, my secret is trusting no one. Her chest tightened. Then why did you trust me? He walked closer, stopping a few feet away. I didn't. I just couldn't ignore you. Something about that honesty cut deeper than any lie could have. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. One glance at the screen and his jaw clenched. They've moved. Taeho? He nodded. He's gathered men near the docks. Minjae's supplying him weapons. Adaeze rose quickly. Then don't go. Let the police. He gave a small, humorless laugh. The police work for them now. She took a step forward. You'll die if you go alone. He smiled faintly. Then I won't go alone. Before she could ask what he meant, headlights flashed outside the window. A convoy of black cars rolled into the driveway. His men. Silent. Efficient. They stepped out and nodded to him in unison. Jinwoo turned to her. Stay inside. No matter what happens, you don't come out. He headed for the door, but she grabbed his arm. And if you don't come back. He looked down at her hand. Then at least one of us should live to tell the story. He left before she could stop him. The night swallowed the sound of engines as they disappeared down the dirt road. Adaeze stood frozen, heart pounding. The silence that followed felt unnatural. Then, crunch. Her head jerked toward the back door. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate. She picked up the small alert phone Jinwoo had given her and pressed the button. It blinked red. No sound. The door creaked open. Taeho stepped in, his smile sharp and empty. You didn't think I'd forget you, did you? Adaeze backed up instinctively. How did you... Follow him? Easy. He's careful with enemies, not with women. She swallowed hard, her back hitting the wall. You don't have to do this, Taeho. Oh, I do, he said softly. You humiliated me in public. You ran into the arms of a criminal. Do you know what people call me now? The man who lost his woman to the Mafia. Taeho, please. He grabbed her chin roughly, forcing her to look at him. You think you can beg your way out of this again? She met his eyes, trembling. If you have any humanity left, don't do this. He smirked. Humanity doesn't win wars. Before he could speak again, a shadow moved behind him. Swift, silent. One of Jinwoo's guards lunged from the darkness, tackling Taeho to the ground. Run! The guard shouted. Adaeze bolted for the hallway. Gunfire exploded behind her. She covered her ears, sprinting toward the front door. Another man appeared, blocking her path. She froze. Boss's orders, the man said coldly. Then a shot rang out. He fell instantly. Jinwoo stood in the doorway, gun smoking. His coat was torn, blood splattered on his face. He locked eyes with her. I told you to stay inside. Before she could respond, another bullet shattered the wall beside him. Jinwoo turned, firing back. Get down! She dropped to the floor as chaos erupted. More men poured in, Taeho's men, armed and relentless. Jinwoo fought like a man possessed, moving with brutal precision. Every shot, every movement was survival made art. But they kept coming. Taeho! Jinwoo shouted over the gunfire. Show yourself! A slow clap echoed from the doorway. Taeho stepped in, gun in hand, eyes wild. Well, the great Han Jinwoo. All that power, and for what? A girl? Jinwoo raised his weapon. You made a mistake touching her. Funny, Taeho sneered. She said those same words to me once. He fired. Jinwoo dodged and returned fire. Bullets tore through furniture, walls, glass. Adaeze crawled behind a fallen table, covering her head as splinters flew. Taeho, stop! She screamed. Quiet! Taeho snapped, turning his gun toward her. In that split second, Jinwoo moved, stepping between them. The bullet hit him in the shoulder. Adaeze screamed, No! He staggered but stayed standing. Pain flashed across his face, but his hand didn't shake. He aimed again, this time hitting Taeho square in the chest. The sound rang through the room like thunder. Taeho fell backward, eyes wide in disbelief. For a moment, everything stopped. Then Jinwoo dropped to one knee, clutching his shoulder. Adaeze rushed to him, tears streaking her face. "You're bleeding." He gave a strained laugh. "It's not the first time." "Stay with me," she said, pressing her hands over the wound. "Please, stay." His breathing slowed. "I told you not to get close." "And I didn't listen," she whispered fiercely. "So now you're stuck with me." Sirens wailed faintly in the distance. Minji's men, maybe police, maybe both. It didn't matter. Jinwoo looked up at her, eyes dark but tender. "If I don't make it, tell them I never meant to hurt anyone." She shook her head violently. "No, you'll tell them yourself." Outside, tires screeched. Voices shouted. More men were coming. Jinwoo tried to stand, but his legs buckled. Adaeze grabbed his arm. "We have to move." He smiled weakly. "Still giving orders?" She half laughed through her tears. "Someone has to keep you alive." Together they stumbled toward the back exit, the world behind them burning. As they disappeared into the darkness, the house exploded in a burst of flame, erasing the battlefield that had almost become their grave. Hours later, on a quiet country road far from the chaos, Jinwoo's car rolled to a stop. Adaeze sat beside him, eyes fixed on the horizon. Dawn was breaking. The first light of morning brushed against their faces. Jinwoo looked at her, voice soft now. "You could still walk away." She turned to him. "And go where?" "The world I knew ended the day I met you." He reached for her hand, hesitant, almost afraid. "Then stay, but understand what that means." She squeezed his hand gently. "It means we stop running." For the first time in days, he smiled, real, unguarded. The rising sun caught the scar on his arm, making it glow faintly. The same arm that had shielded her from death. For a fleeting moment, the world felt still, safe, almost normal. But far behind them, in the smoke of the burning house, a phone buzzed beside Taiho's body. A new message appeared on the cracked screen. "Phase 2 begins. Eliminate them both." The morning air was thin and cold. Mist crawled over the quiet countryside as Jinwoo's car rolled to a stop near an abandoned train station. The engine ticked softly. Adaeze turned to him. "Why are we stopping?" Jinwoo's eyes scanned the horizon. "Because if they're still coming, we can't lead them to anyone else. This is where it ends." She shook her head. "You can't even lift your arm properly. You need a doctor." He smirked faintly. "Doctors talk. Bullets don't." Adaeze's voice trembled. "You're bleeding through your shirt." "I've bled worse." The way he said it, quiet, detached, scared her more than the gunfire had. It wasn't bravado. It was exhaustion. She reached for his hand. "You can't keep living like this." He looked at her fingers intertwined with his. "I never lived. I just survived." A silence hung between them until a distant sound broke it. The low rumble of engines. Adaeze's heart jumped. "They found us." Jinwoo's expression hardened. "Get down." 3 black SUVs pulled up, forming a half circle around the station. Men in dark coats stepped out, guns raised. Among them was a tall man in gray, Park Min-jae. His face was calm, almost pleasant. "Han Jinwoo," Min-jae called out in Korean, voice echoing. "Your father would be proud. You've killed his enemies, and his legacy." Jinwoo opened the car door slowly, stepping out despite his wound. "Min-jae, you never learned when to quit." Min-jae smiled thinly. "Neither did you, but this ends here." Adaeze grabbed Jinwoo's arm. "Don't go out there." He looked at her once, eyes steady. "I have to. Otherwise we'll never stop running." He stepped forward, hands empty now. The wind blew through his hair, carrying the faint smell of smoke from the hills. Min-jae watched him approach. "Still pretending to be honorable?" "I'm not pretending," Jinwoo said. "You used my father's name to build your empire on blood. I'm ending that." Min-jae tilted his head. "And her? The foreign girl?" She's your redemption story? Jinwoo's tone sharpened. She's none of your business. Min-jae smirked. Everything becomes my business when it interferes with profit. He raised a hand. The gunman aimed. Jinwoo's eyes flicked toward Adaeze's reflection in the car window. Their eyes met for a heartbeat. Then, chaos. He dropped to the ground, rolling behind a rusted pillar as gunfire erupted. Adaeze ducked, covering her head. Bullets tore through the old walls, splintering wood and glass. Jinwoo returned fire, hitting 2 men in rapid succession. But there were too many. Min-jae's laughter echoed through the air. You think you can save her? You can't even save yourself. Jinwoo gritted his teeth, blood soaking through his sleeve. You talk too much. He moved like a shadow, ducking behind crates, taking precise shots. But his movements were slowing. Adaeze saw it, his breathing growing shallow, his vision blurring. Her gaze darted to the fallen gun of one of Min-jae's men. Without thinking, she ran. Adaeze! Jinwoo shouted. She ignored him, sliding across the dirt, grabbing the gun. Her hands shook, but she lifted it anyway. Min-jae turned just as she fired. The bullet grazed his shoulder. He staggered back, more shocked than hurt. Jinwoo took the chance. He shot twice. Once, twice, straight into Min-jae's chest. The man stumbled, eyes wide with disbelief, and fell. The remaining gunmen hesitated. Some fled. The rest dropped their weapons. Silence returned, broken only by Adaeze's ragged breathing. She lowered the gun slowly, her entire body trembling. Jinwoo limped toward her. You shouldn't have done that, he said softly. You'd be dead if I didn't. He almost smiled. You're braver than you think. And you're worse at dying than you think, she shot back, tears threatening to spill. He chuckled weakly, then winced. Let's get out of here before more come. They climbed back into the car. As the road stretched ahead, Adaeze finally let the tears fall. Jinwoo reached into his pocket and handed her a small folded paper. What's this? An address, he said. My father's old contact. If I don't make it, he'll help you disappear. She stared at the paper, then ripped it in half. Adaeze, no, she said firmly. If we disappear, they win. We live. We fight if we have to. Together. He looked at her, truly looked, and for the first time, his guarded expression cracked. You're insane. Maybe, but so are you for saving me that night. They drove for hours, past the mountains, past the city lights, until Seoul was nothing but a memory behind them. When they finally stopped, the sea stretched before them, calm, endless. Jinwoo leaned against the hood, wincing slightly as Adaeze wrapped his shoulder in a cloth torn from her dress. You should have left me, he murmured. She shook her head. You saved me first. He looked out at the horizon. You know, I never believed in fate. And now? He smiled faintly. Now I think fate has terrible timing. She laughed softly, her tears catching the wind. Maybe fate just needed you to meet the wrong woman. He turned to her. No, the right one. The waves crashed gently against the shore, each one softer than the last. For once, the silence between them wasn't heavy. It was peace. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Adaeze whispered, What happens next? Jinwoo exhaled, the faintest smile on his lips. We start over, somewhere quiet, somewhere no one knows our names. Do you think that's possible? He nodded slowly. For us? Maybe. She leaned against his shoulder carefully, feeling his heartbeat under her cheek. Then let's make it possible. The camera of imagination would linger on that image. 2 broken souls staring into a new dawn, the weight of their pasts behind them, and the faintest hope ahead. Then Jinwoo spoke again, his voice barely a whisper. If you hadn't kissed me that night, she smiled, finishing for him. We'd both be dead by now. He laughed quietly. Guess some mistakes are worth making. She turned her face toward him. So, what now? Now, he said, looking straight ahead, we live. A slow fade out, the car driving along the coastline, waves glinting under the rising sun. The camera zooms out until they become tiny dots against the endless blue. Then, softly, Adaeze's voice echoes in narration. I asked a stranger for a kiss to escape my past, but I didn't know that kiss would save my life. Some people run to survive, others run to start again. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment to support more powerful tales like this. Tell us in the comments, was Adaeze's kiss destiny or danger?